taxpayer side, the business side, and also your side of it.
Cool. Hey, Greg. Hey. So like Peyton let in, and I'll minimize any of the videos, and I appreciate that. Is you can ask anything you want. We're not new to this. You can, heck, people around you like J-Town or Middletown, people like that are right around you. When you go through this, the entire system is web-based. It's configured for them. The St. Matt's team can personalize it. I'll bounce back and forth and go as quick or as slow as you want, depending on what you're looking for. I just remember to start recording it in case you need it later, in case that helps you. What I'm going to do is show you a couple of different things that you can see through here. Like, for example, if I want to do it now, anything you see, you control. So if I want to go into a public search right here, how quickly you can get at everything. If you only know the name or something, you can do that. But if you actually know the PIDN assigned to it, you can go in through there too. Greg, are you more of a technical nature or what? So that way I'll know how to kind of show you things.
Yeah, more technical, but I did have a couple questions from our clerk about things as well.
Sure. Well, I mean, kind of like if I knew your background, like I wouldn't bother telling you then, hey, this is a hyperlink, you click on it. You know what I mean?
I got you.
Feel free to mix in things whenever you want, but the point is to make things as easy and friendly as possible. So what I always do in a demonstration is take you through the outside part first so that you see what the taxpayer would be used to. You know what I mean? That's always a nice way to start. You're like, oh, okay, that's cool. Then we'll go inside the product, okay?
Okay.
So what I've been doing is I just did a public search. This is like during property tax season, and Peyton's right. It's easy to see how we save over 100 hours worth of phone calls because I don't know if you've ever been in the office when they're taking calls, but it's like, an average call is 10, 15 minutes easy. And so we've taken that information and made it available online where they can get in here and see this, you know what I mean? Like I'm doing right now. And they have they have access right here on this action bar to say things like, hey, I need to check out what my bill looks like. I need to reprint it. I need to get a copy of it. They're just hitting on it, boom. You see what I mean? Like that's how easy we're making things. Right now we're at, and then the bills are depending on the customer, of course. This is just like a general template, what I'm showing you right now.
Gotcha.
And so they're jumping on there. They're seeing that they're looking at, they can look at past receipts, which is like what you get for payoffs and things like that for title companies, mortgage companies, all these things that are phone calls coming into the staff. They can get at this information anytime. Just go in there, click it, bring it up, get a copy of the receipt that they paid it. Okay. Is this the kind of stuff that St. Matt's is wanting to do? Like, I'm trying to be as obvious as possible, but I want to make sure I'm in sync with you.
Yeah. Basically, we're looking to be able to search online for bills, pay online for bills, have like title companies that need to come in and search histories, be able to do that.
So basically everything I've just showed you, right?
Yeah.
Nailed it. That's great. That's what we want, is just to feel, places to feel comfortable. I mean, we do this for a lot of different cities, and like Hopkinsville is another one. They're great. Covington, that's another one. I know. I mean, I'm just making you feel comfortable by telling you names that I know you know. So in here, what I was going to show you here is this would be the area that you turn on for your payment provider. So just that you're going to care, because since you're on the security side too, the tech side, so you don't have any liability. We don't have any liability. When it gets right to here, depending on if you want to use one of our payment providers, to fulfill the transaction, or if you've got one already, we can do the interface to them, but it'll pass that to them, and then we'll get it back in real time. So the office staff doesn't have to do anything like the old way, how you'd have to kind of repost something later or whatnot. We do everything in real time. So there's no extra work on the office staff. It'll pass that, get the transaction, fulfill it, and then bring it back, and we will update inside the system in real time. So that's, again, all the things I'm gonna focus on with you is about saving time for that office staff, because you probably only have about what, 2-3 people in the clerk's office there doing the work. Yeah, exactly. So it's just gotta make sense. It's gotta be tight. Now that's a public one. So you know what I think you saw how I went through. I had payments, bills, receipts, statements, everything's available to them. And that's what they were saying to you about like, hey, how easy is it for say a title company to get in there and search for something or like that. That was right here. Okay. Now I'm going to go over here to the data that you have that is not public. Okay. And now look how easy this is. Those would be, you'd log in as a customer, they'd hit register, they'd create a customer type account. And we'll do that now. I don't know if I did that this morning or not. You are on one of our just dev servers where we do our work, development service. So the performance here is as good as what you'll do, or actually better, using Microsoft's cloud. Are you familiar with their cloud service at all?
Yes.
Oh, great. Even better. That makes it even easier on me. We absolutely love it. It's such a no-brainer. I mean, they take care of everything as far as, security, uptime. We still integrate everything. We designed to what's that federal standard? SH2, I think it's called, on our level of encryption and everything up front. We take care of the wildcard. We have a wildcard SSL, so you're just a subdomain, like St. Matthews ky.igovservices.com, and then you link that from your normal city page. If you are on a business side, now, Greg, this is where I want you to think a little bit more kind of big picture. Is this could be for anything: permits, all your business accounts, occupational taxes, business license. They set up a customer account, okay, and let's just pretend it's you and you're number one, and then they have different business records with you, with the city. And that way, then when you log in, you've already associated your business records with your customer account. So that way you can have as many things over here on the right as you got set up with the city. Does that design make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, simple. I mean, again, for somebody who's maybe more technical like you, everything I'm saying is probably real elementary. And that's the point, is to make sure that what I'm hoping you do is when you go through it, you're thinking, and could the office staff be comfortable with this? And that's the point, is we have all different range of ages and education levels, you name it, using the product. Now, one I'll show you, like, let's say I click on this one and drill down. I just want to get you the idea of like a business who files something like payroll tax, or like we call it occupational in Kentucky. When they're in here, notice how they have a similar menu, right? But there's some things that are available to them that aren't on the public side, like here, like a license. Like, so for example, if you're doing your business license or whatever, you do not have to print everything out now. You can actually send them a notification, and it will send them that, and they'll log in and they'll come in here and they can get their own license without you having to mail it to them. Or the other angle would be is they can get it whenever they need it. So they have access to that. Okay, and it would just be, again, the same thing. They have this. You can tell this is an account I just beat up all the time. And so anywhere where our logos are would be St. Matt's logo, things like that. Is this, again, stuff that they're ideally? I know that property tax is the main goal, but while I've got you, I might as well show you these things that are already there. Is this something on their mind too?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, great. And remember, you can ask me anything you want during it. That's totally fine. Doesn't This isn't scripted. I just follow a general flow, like the users would, or like a taxpayer would, but I can, bounce around and answer anything. Same with what you were just saying. Now, something else that you've got on here, you can offer them. If you were doing a business license type thing, it might just be a straight amount, like some kind of flat amount, which is fine. And they'd log in and they would have seen the amount due and they would pay it. Just like, kind of like a tax bill does. You see an amount, like a permit, you see an amount, you pay it. But if they do anything that's filing based, like occupationals and such, you can let the business log in and they can complete like what we call a filing. So like on the right side are ones that I've already done, like a history side, and on the left is what we're expecting them to do. And this is really hot too. Now, it's not required. I always say that so that way people think, well, is he pushing this on us? We're like, no, it just makes sense though. These are those returns that they're getting in the office, on paper,
right,
for things. And, and again, that's a slowdown. We'd rather have the employees in the kind of audit side of the business, not the paper pushing side. So they can come in here, and these green boxes are dynamic that you can turn them on and off depending on the type of filing you're doing. Okay. And so in this is, again, for somebody like you, this is super easy. This would be like, you know, you're putting some kind of document up there. You know, that, and then how about, you know, now we do have this idea of this dynamic forms you could do that's kind of like a Google Docs form, you know, like where you can dynamically type out what kind of questions you might want to ask and get answers back. And so how much do people use that? I think it's still young. It's still new to them as to how they're wanting to use it or what questions they might ask. Like we have a customer down in North Carolina on the coast that does a lot of tourism stuff, and they actually used it to kind of see how like asking the businesses questions about, say, like COVID and stuff, like, hey, how did this affect your visits, you know, your rentals on your rooms, that thing, because they were doing occupational tax or occupancy tax. So that's this idea over here. But if you're just normal, you probably have them upload a document, and then you probably have them calculate fees right here on the right side, where they just click it, and then it's going to dynamically look to a template to know what it is you're trying to do. You know, like the employees assign the template. And so when it processes this, you're going to see it come up. I picked a really straightforward one where it just does what most people in Kentucky do, where it just asks you for some taxable revenue and any deductions you might have, you know, for whatever this line item happens to be. And so they can type something in, and if it'll do all the math, they can even file a zero return. So that way, then the people in the office don't have to mess with that. It'll do any penalties and interest, whatever the calculation is. And then they can finalize it. And all this is normal. Like, I'm not showing you anything custom. This is just what we do. We've come a long way, and it's a wonderful product like this. And then again, same thing I was saying before, they could hit make payment, and again, process this online. And this time I have that in there because I have it turned on for this one. And you'll see this is a product called Forte. It just depends on I'm trying to look down at the bottom left to see. Sometimes their sandbox is fast, sometimes it's slow, just depends. But I'll go ahead and go through it just so that you kind of have the idea. But I mean, we've all filled these things out now. I used to have to actually demo this for people, you know, hey, and this is how you fill it out. But nowadays, everybody buys so much online, you know, it's easy.
Is there options for like only accepting full payment?
Yeah, I'll show you that in a second. It's in the settings area where you can kind of say, you know, what you want to do and what you don't want to do.
I know that was one of the big things. The clerk doesn't want to accept any partial payments.
Yeah, that's yeah. In Kentucky, that's normal, especially if they're talking about property taxes, because most people don't, you know.
Right.
Now this part, just hang with me. I'm watching the corner down at the bottom because we have to wait for Forte's sandbox to turn on down there. So it's sometimes a little slow, you know, in a demo. But you can use different providers if you want. You know, Municipay is a really great one. All these are convenience fee based. That means, you know, so the fee is passed on. It's not absorbed by the government. So you collect 100% of the tax, you know, that you're supposed to collect. That's another, by the way, that's another point. Because in Kentucky, by law, you're supposed to collect 100% of what you're doing.
Right.
And you can, you know, they can print it, they can email it, but that idea, that process is how it works. And then now we're going to go inside. Okay, so now I'll log in as an employee. That was it posted, it did the whole 9 yards there. I'm trying to keep the pace up for you. So now I'm just going to log in as an employee. And now we'll go through this side, which again is, really tight. When you land here, for somebody like you, again, pretty straightforward. The menu down the left side, you see this?
Yeah.
This is where we're going to go. I know you care most about property taxes, but I'm still going to introduce it so that way you can see how they could manage the entire office. Okay. So for example, they can search by anything, but I'm going to come back to that. I'd rather get to the kind of some of the eye candy, the fun stuff. We organize everything on dashboards. So any money coming in, property tax, license, permits, whatever, you can see that the management can see that from this dashboard, from the collections dashboard. Receipts that have come in, where they stand month to date on transactions like property tax revenue versus business license, you know what I mean? Things like that. And anytime this QuickBooks type of feel, we did it on purpose. You can just hit view details. And what's going to happen is it's going to drill down to, actually have to click it to make it do it. It's going to drill down to a style that is we use throughout the product, which is kind of filters at the top for the user and then data at the bottom. And then you can dynamically, anything you see, you can always send it to Excel or PDF. There's no real extra learning. It's just kind of there. It's in real time. It's always available. So the customers are like, wow, I can get out anything I want. So, you know, receipt data, everything like that. This is from the collection dashboard. I go to the billing dashboard. I'll show you that in a second. But this idea, again, I always know where I stand. What have I charged this month? What's still outstanding coming in from like a tax perspective? And then the billing process, I'm going to go back to that in a second and take you through how easy it is. But right here, just the user goes left to right in everything they do. You know, applying their tax charges, creating a bill, printing them or emailing them out. And then the reports right here, like fiscal year reports, you know, as things are happening, they can see exactly where they stand. Makes for an easy audit at the end, which is, again, really, really cool. And then, so you have these different dashboards doing this stuff for you, like on your business filings, leading you through where you stand, how many people have filed year to date, how many people are missing or late, they haven't filed. We can stay on top. We can send them notifications right up here. So that way we know, you know, and keep on top of them. Yeah. So that way we nudge them along and try and get our delinquency rate down, print them a license out right in here or email it out to them. So this is the way it's all organized, even as simple as all of your delinquents are right here. Okay. And you know them in real time. Send them a letter, send them a statement, apply your monthly penalty and interest. You'll do it. Boom, push the button, you're done. Okay. So you're getting the idea of how it's organized?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm going to take you through taxes. So you go down to property tax dashboard and you guys get a file from the county once a year. Okay. And so you come in here and now we do this with you, but our users can do it by themselves if they want to. So we're in the import hub. So they're going to click on this and it tells them, hey, the file you got from the assessor, we'll upload an Excel file. And you can come right down here and click it. Here's the layout right here, Greg. You can just click on it, it'll download the file for you. Okay, so you can just change the column headings and bring them in, which is, again, cool. There's a data dictionary right here of all the fields that we bring in. But again, you know, does every user do it themselves? No, it just depends. Some of them do, some of them, since they only do it once a year, they have us do it with them. But you pick a file and then you start importing it. And then from there, you just follow down the line. It brings it in, you run the comparison report. So that way, you know what the assessor said they gave you is actually what's in the file. And then you push this button and it brings it in and it updates all of the existing records that match with the same PIDN, or it can do new ones. We don't delete anything. And then it stamps that into the assessment history. So that way you've got these accounts in the system ready to roll. And I'll just go up to the search and I'll show you like the result of that. So like when I just went up to, I don't know if you saw me up here. You can search by tons of stuff. Make sure you can see that just because I know that'll be important to them.
Okay.
And then you see the info, click on it. And so the data's been imported. Okay. So for example, like I can go down to their I'm on the parcel record right now. I can go down to their assessments and I'll see that current one I just, that was imported. And then obviously this is the last time I did that with the file. And then any history that's out there. So it's all right there. They can do changes right here, abatements, corrections they get from the assessor. And then what you really want to do is you're going to apply your charges in bulk. I'll go back up to here just so that it makes sense. This menu should look similar to what you saw on the taxpayer side. Now we're on the employee side, but you notice that a lot of these are the same. Like going and looking at any payments this account has made, or same with viewing any bills, that they've had, or any current charges. So what I was going to show you is just this idea of they have a charge out there for what's it say, $215, and we can go and we can pay it. So we would apply these charges in bulk, and then all they have to do in the billing is they go directly across. So they would then go and create a bill, and we'll do property tax. That's fine, just so you can see it, to see the screen. So they do this, and they can either do it for individual PIDNs, you know, like ones that might have come in after the fact, or they just put that due date that they were just doing, and then they put the dates associated with it. I can't remember. Does St. Matt's have a discount, a 2% discount period?
Yeah, it's November, I think.
Okay, so it's like they would put that date here, and then they put the, like, I think it's, they pay through November. So like, let's say that is 11/30, and then the face date would be like, you know, like 12/31, you know, of the year. And then the past due date, I think theirs is, I think their penalties go on January 1st. So that would be like, hey, here's the first period. And then, so that this way, what we're doing is putting these 4 dates because that's what they normally show on their bill. Okay. They normally show the discount value, the face value, and often a first penalty and a second penalty. And so that's what we're doing. Penalty and interest, sorry, both things. And so you just push this, and it will then show you all of the accounts that have charges for that date. And then it will grab them all and make a batch for you, you know, so that way you can print them all at once. And so I just clicked print bills. You notice everything goes down the line with little hyperlinks leading you to the next step. I could have just, instead of, I was here, I could have just come back here and hit that. It's the same thing. And it's been awesome. People really are just on top of this. And you can come in here and, you know, and grab a batch for whatever you might be doing. I didn't even print these, so I'm just gonna hit submit just so I can see what it might be. That one, man, that's a utility. So let me see if that might be from my last demo. Yeah, that's one right there. So you could send out email notifications. And by the way, don't think that that's crazy, because we're moving towards trying to help them get more addresses through customer signups and stuff to claim their own tax bill, so you don't have to print as many. That's a big postage saver.
Yeah.
So you go to print your bills, and you have different stock, you know, different styles, templates, I guess is a better word. You just pick it, say print, and it'll generate it. You know, and again, different templates, different looks in your logos, and any of these spots where you see blocks, that's where they have their own text, you know, that personalizes it, like, you know, send, you know, forward this to your mortgage company, et cetera, et cetera. And we have made it this easy, though. It really is. I mean, it's really a great process, especially for the size type city of like a St. Matt's. And then, so they go through that, and they, like I said, they could have emailed them out. Then when the payments come in over here, I went down right under payments. We've got everything organized now, super easy with in-office payments here. If they get it from a mortgage company, like I don't know if you know this, but like the mortgage company will send them like one file with like, you know, 1,000 payments in it. They'll do that in a batch right here, so they don't have to post those. They can just come down here, import the Excel file from the mortgage company, and it will post, you know, to the accounts for them, so they don't have to do it. If they are doing it themselves, they can just go right here to in office, pick their session that I had out there. I have one, I did one for you guys right here, demo. And I'll just keep using that same account. And so there, now you're taking payments. Now you're in, this is in office. So this would be like somebody coming to the, you know, front window or something, you know, if you guys got a, like a counter type idea, I guess, or, I mean, anytime you want to do in-office payments. Now, this is for anything, Greg. So it doesn't matter at this point. This screen could be, they could be walking in, paying a business license, a permit, a property tax, whatever. Okay. Just so happens we picked that property tax account I've been working with. So you have full control over this, whether it's over or under, like say they pay more, you know, say they're going to pay 15. As soon as you get a difference, you're going to have some kind of action, you know, like give them change or add a credit to the account or something like that. And then there's the GL side of it. So that way the user up front doesn't need to know any of the accounting numbers. They just pick what they're doing, and then boom, you know, they're going to have the transaction the way that they want it. Same if you go the opposite direction. I just refreshed the screen if you didn't see what I did. If you go down, oops, that's too big. You go down and it's negative, you're going to get different actions like leave as a balance or write it off. And if you write it off, again, you're going to have a GL implication. So that way you got to click the one you want so it's properly tracked. Okay, this is just for a tight audit trail. That's exactly what we're doing right now. You can control how it's paid. Now, listen, if you're doing the credit card thing again, it is integrated here. So if you pick that, it'll go to their site. You can swipe it and run it, and again, get the benefit of that in real time without having to kind of go outside of anything to do it. Okay. Do you have any questions in this area, or is this, what you were hoping to see, kind of the flow of things?
No, that's what we were hoping to see.
Okay, I'll just keep going. At any time, you know what I mean? You can just jump in, but I try and be real efficient with your time. And people are like, how do you get through all that in that period? I'm like, well, like for you, somebody who's more technical and less in the office, I'm taking you through the flow of everything so that you see how one thing leads to the next. I'm purposely showing you and clicking. This is real. I'm a real product. So I'm clicking on things so you can see, you're like, okay, I know to do that. I mean, I would know to click this and then this, and follow the process so you get the results you want. Another thing that the user is going to like, say they mess something up, like on that one I just did, and all they got to do is go down here to void, and then it will void it, put the charges back on the account, and then they can go do it. Now, there are plenty of safety mechanisms in there, like they can't void something that's already been balanced out. Okay. So from a security standpoint, you need to know that that stuff is in there as well. We're already thinking of that, taking care of that. They get a return from the bad check later on. They get a return that's down here, and it's like a void, but it's got to do more things. And they can do credit memos, refunds. It's all right here in one easy area. So the part they're going to care about is at the end of the day, you need to balance out your sessions to make sure that you're good from an accounting perspective. So you just pick the one you were doing, your session, you say view, you'll see it right there. And I know it sounds silly, but yeah, we number this stuff. Step one, it's like counting your drawer, like if you worked in the grocery store or the bank or something. And so when the red goes away and the difference is 0, you're good. And so you're like, okay, thank you. Print your totals off of that. So you have your breakdown by all your payment types, like checks, cash, money order, credit card, etc. That's right there. And then you say, okay, I'm cool. Market is balanced. Okay. So that user, that frontline person would then say, okay, I'm good for the day. I'm going to start my session for tomorrow. You know what I mean? And now they're ready. Now they've got a new session to take payments in tomorrow so that they're organized for their balancing. From an accounting perspective, though, I'm going to hit this link, which is the next step. Sometimes the same user does it, depends on the office. Sometimes more of the manager does the deposit side of it. That's the same as me going right here to the second step, right here. That and that are the exact same thing. And I go here, and then there's what we just did. Okay, just stuff, that's me. So I'm going to say, yeah, let's create that deposit off of that. Give me the deposit report, because that gives me my accounting breakdown. So I know my entries, journal entries or whatnot I need to make. It'll give me full breakdown on the normal, discounts, any segment that I have. And then when I'm cool, I'm going to hit finalize, and it's like, hey, you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. It's cool. And it's going to then, what it's doing, Greg, is it's taking it from a pending area and moving it over into the history. That's the gist, from a tech standpoint, that's the gist of what's happening at that spot. So once it's finalized, they're not supposed to be messing with it anymore. Nice tight audit, front to back. Now they're ready to take payments tomorrow and do their next thing. Okay. And so what I actually just took you through in a crazy amount of time, I mean, I might have gone a little too fast, was I'm going to get into some setup things to show you can see how easy it is. But we first spent time on the outside, which I always do, the taxpayer's experience. How easy is it? Can they see it? Do they know what to do? It does the math automatically. Forgot to mention that. So if it's January 1st, if a taxpayer tries to sneak in there, it will automatically apply the penalties and interest to them. So that way, then, they're going to pay the right amount. And then we did a filing like a business client out there. Then we came inside, and I showed you this idea of organizing things by dashboards. And then what I did was I actually went through the tax process of importing the flow through the wizard, applying the charges, creating a bill, and then bringing in a payment against it and balancing it out. That's what they do. That's the flow of their work. The only part that's different is if it's a business account that they need to file first, and they're doing it in office, not online. That would look more like on a business account, same kind of landing page, but again, we have a couple more things for them because they have filings and licenses that they deal with. But like the idea of a filing, there's their history of what they've filed with you by tax year, because everything government does is organized by tax year. Okay. And then if they had something new, it would either be sitting there already waiting for them, like I did when I was online, or I might pop one on their account real quick, a quick filing. So this is again like an OCTAX where they file with you so often, but I didn't do it in bulk. I'm just putting one on here real quick for you so you can see what I mean. Here comes the template. I want them to do an original. Let's just say it's, I don't know, do tax period. Let's say it's for the first quarter, 01, 2022 through 03/31. Okay. Now, for somebody who's not in this line of the business, Greg, I want to make sure you understand what I'm doing. This would be like the business office, and they do, whether it's a license or a occupational, most of the time they'll apply it to all their accounts in bulk. Like I showed you before, where they kind of push the bulk button and it does what I'm doing. This would be maybe a getting started, like where you're on a business account and they've got a delinquent filing before you get started on our software. And so you want to pop one on there so that they can file for the fourth quarter. And so what it would look like then is you do that. So when you go to their account, it's sitting there waiting for either you do it in the office or they do it online. Either way. Does that make sense where I am right now? This idea of this filing hub?
Yeah.
Okay, that's important because it's a great organizing tool, but sometimes people get confused when I come in here and since I had already done the one I had on their account online, there wasn't one waiting. So sometimes the users are like, well, I don't understand. Why did you do this action? Why did you do that? And so one of the easiest examples is people always ask, Chris, when we're getting started, can I go back and add some old ones on there? For mail that comes in or delinquents. And I'm like, sure, that's called a single. And you do that right here. There's other things you do too. I don't know if St. Matt's does it, but like making an estimated payment, doing an extension, on an existing return right here. Like there's different actions here that, Greg, it's like a path, everything we do, kind of like step one, and then it's going to lead them through the steps to get the result that they're looking for. Does that design style, is that cool? Does that flow with what you're thinking?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So that's the idea of in here, so they can have what do they got to do? And now we can measure against that. I'm sure the staff would like that, to be able to see, well, how many things are out there versus, with this account, I can see what they've done each year, what I've had come in through that time period. So the filing hub really has been something really super for them, but that's where the business type clerk would spend more time. Okay. Otherwise, you're just talking about normal stuff like, charges that have been applied to the account, whether it's a business account or not. I can't remember if St. Matt's does like gross receipts types filing, but if they do, that's filing bait. Like where the business might pay a flat amount for a license, but at the end of the year, they send you a return with like their gross receipts on it, or net profit, one of the two. That's right. That's a filing based tax. That's what I'm trying to give you an example of. Same with what I call payroll taxes, but in Kentucky, we call them occupational taxes. Okay. All those are the same style where you'd have this idea of a filing. And I think something that would be attractive to them is this idea of being able to, on a dashboard, know where they stand with all of their businesses. You know what I mean? Like that is probably something they can't do right now. And that would be desirable. Now I know our main goal is property taxes. That's fine. But while we're together, I figure I might as well be showing you this so you can kind of get a feel for the big picture, of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the last thing you might ask is, okay, what about how do you do this stuff? Like when you do it, when it's new, well, that's just hitting new record. And you can define any type of revenue that you want. I'll show you where that is in a second, because you're going to be like, how do you get started? Like, it's actually easier than you think. they define these, and then depending on what you pick, they behave differently. Okay, and this is going to be huge online as well. The reason I say it's going to be, because you saw that I have a sign up and stuff online right now. That's fine. But over the next quarter, it's going to get a huge facelift, because we are doing a project for the city of Tucson, Arizona. We're doing all of their licensing, all their business licenses, so 40,000 businesses. And we're doing an upgrade on their public portal part. So that way, whether it's in office, like when you pick something, it will dynamically ask you what type of information you want to gather about that, that new record. And so, and these things can be different depending on the type of revenue you're doing. Like property taxes, you import those from the county, so you barely fill out any information. But a business, you would want more stuff. Okay. And all this comes from right here where we set things up. And you set up your security. Okay, I'll do this real quick too, just so you get a feel for us. The organization, you asked me this earlier. These are your default type settings. Public search right there for property taxes, text that you see on the screen, your logo. And then you said stuff about like, hey, you said, do you allow partial payments? You see it right here?
Yeah.
So this is how we design the entire thing. It's like, hey man, you're in control. Just, you don't want it, say no. That's how, say no and then hit save. That's how we work. And then when you get started, what we do is we say, hey, we'll set up your site on the cloud. So that part's covered. And then if there's any data conversion work or something, that's part of the process, depending on the customer. They don't have to. They usually get it into Excel. We've designed a bunch of different imports for that. And then you go to security and add your users. Payment types are like if you're going to do cash, check, credit card, that kind of thing. Then the revenue types is what I just told you. This is where you could be as generic as just having this one, property. If you do tangibles, then you might want one for personal. But I purposely leave all of these here so your mind starts being more creative. Like you start thinking, oh, he's saying when I hit new record, it looks here in this list, and that's what I'm eligible to add into the system. And then each one is customizable just by picking what you want. Like, hey, do you need customer info or location info? Do you let the taxpayer do it? Do you want to add a charge? You see, all I do is turn stuff on and off.
Yeah.
And so we do this with you. And then that's how, it gets set up. And so we're there, and then we get into your rates where they set those up, mortgage companies. And so this stuff, each section, we do during a different training. Our trainings are about an hour, like you and I are doing right now, where we're actually in the real product configuring it as we go. And so we do that. And then there's some utilities that we use for data imports and other mail merges and things that might be helpful. And then getting started, we even have an area inside the help where we say getting started. And these are those things I was telling you about, like we can import all of your payment history. Just you've got to put it into Excel, and then you can click here, payments, transactions, whatever that might be. And every screen always has a layout of what we're expecting. Like right here, like, hey, these are the fields that we're expecting on your charges, that kind of stuff. So getting started is a lot more friendly. Now, if they didn't have any history, then they would probably start. I mean, I assume they do, but they would start with whatever is like the next import, from the assessor. But
Gotcha.
I don't know if you know what their current data situation is like or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what they're doing.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. So going through this, I mean, I kind of threw a lot at you, but this is a real product. It's not something that's like some kind of custom thing that you're like, will it even look like this? These are just settings. So you have the same product as everybody else, same updates, same things. It's just one. All you do is normally you just do the one monthly type subscription fee to it. And we do that because we pay Microsoft each month for that access. It's your own server, it's your own virtual server. So everything is isolated. That's the way government likes it. You're not sharing your data with somebody else. So that's, again, positive as part of the whole process. And Peyton can get you an estimate. All she needs to know is the gist of how many accounts you have. And we're not like holding you to the exact. We just need to make sure we know, because that affects performance, bandwidth, all the things that we have to factor into it.
Right. So how does this integrate with like an auditing process? Like where would we download reports for that kind of thing?
Every dashboard. Okay, well, let me say this. Every time you see any part of data, they all have Excel. All these things have Excel and PDF exports to them. Okay, so that's important because somebody use that. And then all of the reports have been designed to do the exact same thing. They query the data. You can filter them down. So, like for example, most of the stuff you just asked me about is in this area.
Okay.
And all they do is run it. Run it for a time period. Fiscal year. That's why the fiscal year is great. It's like you may not have noticed this, and this might be a bit bulky, but on every transaction that occurs is happening inside like we call it a transaction register, but it's almost like like a checkbook.
Yeah.
Okay, and so we're doing that behind the scenes, and I mean I'm doing this on the fly. I have no idea what anything of that's exciting, but you see what I mean? Like for every parcel and everything, we're tracking this stuff. So we know what's going on. And this data, it becomes the source for all of the reports that I was showing. Oop, bad navigation. So like, for example, what I was saying before is they become that's the source of the data for everything through here. So and everything they want, they're going to have receipt logs. They're going to have fiscal year to date showing them where they started, where they ended, which is, by the way, from a tax perspective, exactly what Kentucky wants when they come in and audit. When your auditors there, they need, where did we start? What was outstanding? What did we collect all through there? Where did we end on June 30? There's the number. And then other things are like, write-offs that we did, any adjustments that you did, credit activity, refunds, any voids, that kind of stuff. It makes for a tight thing. Because I don't know if you've ever been through the audit side, but what they always do is they come in and they say, well, let's pull some receipts and then let's go check them. Well, that's right here. That's the receipt log. And then they just put a date range and then they'll pull some receipt numbers and then go start looking at them. And then they do this part. So yeah, it's tight. Now that's just one menu I showed you. Each of the different dashboards can have things that are unique to that circumstance, collections or billing, whatever.
Okay. I know they currently use QuickBooks here.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any kind of integration with that?
Yeah, and it depends on the version. Like we trying to stay up on the latest, but what you're asking for is right here. When I was showing you the balancing, I did this on purpose so that you'd see they balance, they create their deposit. That then, when I hit finalize, that's this part right here. That makes it eligible for an accounting product. You know what I mean? And then what we do here is then they pick the product that they're doing. Like we had QuickBooks to the list, and then they view, and it will export a file that can be imported in.
Okay.
I just got to check the versions because they change. I mean, obviously, that too. QuickBooks changes that. So I don't think we do the online version yet. But the idea is you're going to get a file in that format so that we can do it. That's why they got to make sure they're using GL numbers, because QuickBooks requires that for you when you do an import into them, as opposed to just words on your accounts.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that's the flow through there too, which is, again, good question. So now that was my goal, to take you through that and then get to know you better, about what your priorities were. What I heard was property tax is the big one because they're not happy with do you know how they've been doing it? You know what I mean? Like what they've been doing lately, just so we have a better idea of it on our side.
They print everything out, mail it, and accept it all by hand.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's terrible. Okay. That's rough. I mean, that's rough.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. But okay, so there's this. And then the other items, if you're interested in them, that's fine. Doesn't matter to us. We just do it by, like, we don't zing you for the different types of revenue. We're just trying to get a feel for the entire number of accounts, because like I said to you, it affects the setup that we do. So,
Right.
So if somebody tells us they do 100 accounts and then they do 10,000, it's really going to not perform well. But Peyton can follow up with you on that part too, to go through. So for me, to summarize, I'm like, did this look like something that was, positive that you're going through?
Yes.
Okay, that's, you know how it is on our end. It's kind of like, hey, we're here and we're doing it, but does this, would we qualify to make it to whatever step 2 is?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's cool. Do you want to work with Peyton on just, what that looks like and your timing? Because I know it's only February, so I don't know what your timing is, but I know, this could be, ours isn't expensive at all, but I know that they could be a budgety, you know what I mean? Like preparing it for July, but if they're waiting, let me just warn you, it's like, please don't wait that long because they bill in September. And we usually tell people, it's like, hey, man, give yourself at least 3 months before if you're just talking about property taxes, things like that.
Okay.
That's it. Do you have any idea what their timing is?
Right now, we're just kind of exploring options, and then I think probably the end of May, we're going to start meeting and figuring out what direction we want to head. So
That's
we're
what I'm
shooting,
saying. Yeah,
we're
that's
shooting
what
to
it
be
sounds
ready by
like.
September kind of thing.
Yeah, it sounds like it's the whole, because the fiscal year starts July 1,
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Okay, well, yeah, I'll let Peyton work with you directly on any questions or answers that you might need, and then I'm sure, like I said, you'll probably want some kind of estimate for your budgeting purposes. When you get to that. Is there
Okay.
anything else I can do for you right now, or are you in good shape?
You said, I know Jeffersontown uses it. You said Middletown, Hopkinsville, and Covington all use it, that I could call and ask about it, see what their experience
Yeah,
is.
and matter of fact, and like I said, Greg, when you get to that point, we're more than happy to give references. I mean, their contact info.
Okay.
It didn't sound like you're really kind of there yet. You said you guys are getting together in May.
Well, we're hoping to have everything ready to present in May.
Oh, so you are doing it from like a budget standpoint. I get it now. Yeah. Well, and Peyton can work with you on that. It's all cool.
Okay.
Nice. And so if anything else comes up, let us know, but I'll have her reach right back out to you and kind of lead, go through that with whatever info you need at that time, so that way it really hits, for budget or for whoever needs more, info.
Gotcha.
Awesome. Hey, I really enjoyed that, man. It was really great. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You betcha. All right.
Are you going to send this recorded?
I am going to convert it and then I'll put it on a link for you.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. All right. Good talking to you, man.
All right, thank you.
Okay. See you later. And I'll